Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Canada Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. We'll check in with the jet stream here first thing on Friday morning. We continue to see ridging overall across the western United States with a trough over the east. That's allowed heat to build over the western United States. If you look at what's going on over the top of that ridge, though, we've got troughs making their way up and over that ridge, traveling across the Canadian prairies, keeping the storm track very active in that area. So while the Corn Belt, the central United States, have been very quiet over the last couple of weeks, continue to keep an active pattern in place over the Canadian prairies, and that's going to mean some precipitation chances for a lot of folks across the Canadian prairies. Let's go ahead and jump into that. We'll look at the satellite picture here on Friday morning, and we see a couple of things. It's a really cool picture, honestly. Continuing to watch this first storm system, this area of low pressure spinning away. Let me go ahead and use white to mark this. Over southern Manitoba right now, you see the counterclockwise flow along that. Now we've got a cold front kind of extending off to the south of that, and that's going to lead to the development of some scattered storms anywhere from parts of southeastern Manitoba into the upper Midwest and parts of the Great Lakes region in the United States. On the backside of that, we're watching our next upper level disturbance make its way in through parts of British Columbia today. That's eventually going to lead to the chance for some isolated to scattered thunderstorms developing across parts of western and central Manitoba as that begins to move into the Canadian Prairie region. So we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at the radar picture, look at what's going on underneath those clouds, and we can see the disturbance here over southern Manitoba, again kind of spinning away. It's quiet across the remainder of the Canadian prairies on Friday morning, but again we'll be watching this region for some thunderstorms to develop as we head into the afternoon today, and then keeping things rather active in that corridor as we head through the remainder of the next week, to be honest. Zooming in, taking a look at southern Manitoba right now, I really wanted to point out the really compact nature of this little storm system making its way through the area. Again, you see the counterclockwise flow around this little storm system, this little disturbance making its way through south central Manitoba. Again, perhaps seeing some thunderstorms redeveloping along ahead of that across far southeastern Manitoba into southern Ontario. Looking at the jet stream now and where we're headed, we're looking at the European long-range model. Again, you see the broad ridge over the western United States. Here are the disturbances making their way through, up and over the flow through the Canadian Prairie region. So this is the disturbance that we just looked at here across southern Manitoba. This is the next system that's going to be moving through, again bringing chances for isolated storms today in central Manitoba, and then keeping the chance for showers and storms in the forecast downstream across Saskatchewan and Manitoba as we head into Saturday and Sunday. But where are we headed after that? Let's go ahead, we'll play this out, and I'm going to go ahead and just step through time with you guys. So going through the weekend, we watched this first disturbance. This moves out of here pretty quickly and not really an issue here as we go forward across, across Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. We get into Saturday morning, we're seeing this next disturbance now making its way in through the Canadian prairies. This is going to bring a chance for showers and storms to parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba Saturday and Sunday as it moves through the region. On the backside, we bring in some subtle ridging. That's going to allow us to warm back up before this next disturbance begins to organize. This next trough off to the west begins to impact us as we head into the mid to late part of next week. And that's going to allow us to warm up. It's going to allow the chance for showers and storms to remain in the forecast as we head into the middle to later parts of the next week. It could also mean a return to some severe weather across the region as well. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment as well. Let's go ahead and finish it out, though. Let's take it in through next weekend where we'll go ahead and freeze, and we start to see the ridge beginning to build back across the western United States, pushing into parts of the Canadian prairies, perhaps shifting our storm tracks subtly north as we head into again, we're way out there now, 10 days into the future, talking about August 4th, 5th, and 6th. But what you really needed to notice there was that we just keep things pretty active in this corridor here. We're going to keep increased precipitation in the forecast across much of the Canadian prairies as we head through the next 7 to 10 days. Looking at the jet stream winds here at 500 millibars, and I'm going to play this quickly, and what I really want you to just notice is just the meandering flow through the region. You know, we don't see any pronounced ridge, we don't see any trough just continuing to linger here. What you're seeing is this upper level support in the form of these strong jet stream winds continuing to focus on this region right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and play it, and what you're seeing is these little bursts, these flashes of brighter colors. Those are your disturbances, your shortwave troughs moving up and over the top of that ridge. And again, with each one of those, we see the chance for precipitation and active weather across the region. So as long as we've got the jet stream support within this region, we've got a warm, summer air mass in place, we're going to keep precipitation in the forecast in the form of these scattered showers and storms. Now we'll take a look at the Cape forecast. This is again a look at instability, the fuel that drives the thunderstorms and the severe weather that we see this time of year. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll step through time with this one as we have with the last few maps. Bringing it back here to Friday. Again, pretty stable across the region. Not expecting any widespread thunderstorm or severe weather threat here on Friday. Meager instability values here across parts of western and central Alberta. That's where we could see some isolated thunderstorms developing Friday afternoon and evening. As we head into Saturday afternoon now with this next disturbance making its way in, the one that was off to the west here when we looked at the jet stream, the map just several slides ago, that begins to move into the prairie region here Saturday with some instability showing up here across central and southern Saskatchewan. That could lead to the development of a couple of strong to severe storms Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening across central Saskatchewan. As we move into the day on Sunday, now this continues to move from west to east. Now our best instability out ahead of that storm system now moving through central and southern Manitoba on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. So generally from this region on Saturday, and then perhaps this region on Sunday, talking about the chance for some isolated strong to severe thunderstorms as this storm system tracks across the region. Then we move into next week now. We're getting into Monday. We kind of clear things out. Each front is kind of taking the warm and humid air mass, the instability that would drive more widespread storms, and kind of pushing it off to the south. So the frequent storm track keeps the upper level disturbances, keeps the upper level support for thunderstorms in the forecast across this region. But with the frequent passage of these fronts that kind of bring in, cooler and less humid air, it also kind of works against things here. It kind of takes the more juicy, if you will, the more unstable air out of the region. So while there's some pluses here for more frequent precipitation, we're seeing some negatives here that kind of take away from the severity here, which is good news. We're getting some rain, but we're not getting it in the form of, violent thunderstorms day after day across the region. We take this out a little bit further, and the reason I want to do that is show you that we do see instability kind of return to the region as we get into the middle to later parts of next week now. So I'm going to kind of we're going between, here's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week. Again, you see instability kind of hanging out in this region here across the central and southern portions of the prairies. And again, keeping the upper level jet stream support in the region over the top of that ridge. That's going to lead to the possibility of some strong to severe thunderstorms across the region here, I think especially Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. And we'll talk about that in more detail as we get into the next week. We'll have another Canada regional forecast on Tuesday where we can talk about this. But just kind of getting you guys through the next 7 to 10 days, talking about the potential for severe weather. It looks rather low, with the exception of maybe an isolated strong storm or two Saturday and Sunday. Again, central and southern Saskatchewan into central and southern Manitoba Saturday, Sunday. And then a more, potentially robust severe weather threat as we get into the middle to later portions of next week. Otherwise, keeping things active across this region and doing so without too much in the way of severe weather. So now we can take a look at the precipitation forecast here, and this will kind of convey that one more time to you, keeping things active across the region. As we get going on Friday, here is the first storm system over southern Manitoba. This is going to kick off to the east, get out of here by the time we get to the end of the day today. We'll be watching this region then for the emergence of the next upper level disturbance as we go through the weekend. So here we go. We're going into early Saturday now, Saturday afternoon, and then Saturday evening, seeing these thunderstorms developing across central Alberta into central Saskatchewan on Saturday. As we get into Sunday now, this disturbance quickly moves eastward, already getting into parts of central Manitoba, with a front extending south from there. So this would bring the chance for strong storms, an isolated strong storm or two into southern Manitoba on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. But the precipitation going to be heaviest in central portions here. You see the more significant precipitation up closer to the actual area of low pressure, with more isolated storms extending off to the south of that. Now we get into early next week now. We're into Monday. That storm system has moved off to the east now across Ontario and then eventually Quebec by the time we get to Monday night and Tuesday. But we're already watching for the next upper level disturbance to begin pushing into the area by the time we get to Monday afternoon, Monday evening into Tuesday. And that again moves from west to east. Again, keeping this same corridor very active. I can kind of just go quickly through the next few days, and what you're seeing is just, various disturbances tracking through, riding through this corridor and keeping things very active. And we'll go ahead and we'll just restart it and let it play. And this is where you can see the nearly daily chances for rain and thunderstorms across the region, with each one of these disturbances moving quickly from west to east across the Canadian prairies. If there's anywhere that's going to be a little bit drier, it's the southern end here. The heavier precipitation kind of accompanying the actual track of the low pressure systems with fronts extending off to the south, keeping the precipitation more isolated in nature as we talk about southern Alberta and then far southern Saskatchewan. Maybe keeping things a little bit drier in that area. We can look at 6-hour accumulated precipitation. This kind of shows the same thing. You're going to see it remain very active in this area, perhaps a little bit lighter in nature off to the south, but a very active pattern here across the Canadian prairies with each one of these quick moving disturbances, keeping a near daily chance for showers and storms across the region, with the higher severe weather threat possible Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. Total accumulated precipitation, this will go ahead and show the theme pretty well. That corridor right there through northern and central portions of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba. If there is any dry spot, it's right there off to the south across southern Alberta and then perhaps southern Saskatchewan as well. Temperatures, what are they doing over the next few days? Well, near average overall, but there's going to be fluctuations between warmer and cooler periods in advance and behind each one of these storm systems. We warm up as each storm system approaches. On the backside, we get a little bit cooler air. We get rain and cloud cover, and that cools us down a little bit. So I'm going to play it, and what you can do is just focus on this region here. You're seeing a mixed bag here. Again, we finish near average overall, but it's not as if we just stay stable, very close to average throughout the whole week. I'll go ahead and we'll pause it and step through time so you can kind of see what I mean. On the backside of this first storm system, we've got one exiting the picture here. We're cooler to start the day on Friday across central and southern portions of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. But then we start to warm up on the backside in advance of our next storm system. Now we've got another storm system approaching here. We're warming up in advance, cooling off on the backside of that. So here we go. Where are we at now? We're on Saturday evening, getting into Sunday. You can watch this warmer air. Again, this is a great way to pause it right here. Sunday morning. Our storm system is located right here over central Saskatchewan with southerly flow in advance. We're warming up in advance of that storm system. Northerly flow on the backside, bringing in cooler air. And with an active storm track, that's why we have this temperature roller coaster. This is why we're seeing the fluctuations with a near average week overall, but periods of warmth and periods of cooler temperatures is because of these passages of these individual storm systems through the region. So let's take the drawings off. Let's go a little bit further. We're getting into now the beginning of next week, so into Monday now, seeing things a bit cooler across the region to end the weekend and to start off the week. But that quickly changes. We're replaced by warmer air now in advance of the next storm system. We've got another trough making its way into the area here by the time we get to mid to late next week. And that, again, is what I said might bring higher instability values, a more volatile air mass, and perhaps some more severe weather to the region mid to late next week with cooler air filtering in on the backside. Again, this is Friday of next week, getting into next weekend. Then we're going to start watching a cooler area here start developing. We've got some big disagreements between the long-range models as we get into the 10-day time frame. So beyond next weekend, quite a bit of disagreement. So we're going to kind of leave the details for next week, but we'll have to watch what happens with this area of cooling and see if that ends up making its way into the Canadian prairies in any kind of significant manner. Let's go ahead, though. Let's jump into a closer look here at Alberta. We'll just go ahead and play out the precipitation forecast for the next 10 days from the European model. And again, you're seeing perhaps drier conditions across southern Alberta. Elsewhere, keeping the chance for more significant precipitation in the forecast. Locally, heavy rains possible across especially north-central Alberta, where the more significant 100 mm plus precipitation chances exist. And again, this may be scattered in nature as we deal with thunderstorms across the region as well, with the higher amounts being more local in nature. High temperatures to finish things off, going to be warmer off to the south where it's hotter and drier. Off to the north, seeing more in the way of cloud cover and rain, and then more cool temperatures on the backside of these storm systems. But anyway, Friday, your high temperatures near 30 degrees off to the south, the low to mid 20s off to the north. Cooler temperatures on the backside of this first storm system. Here's a look at your Saturday high temperatures, and then Sunday cooler still. Warming up then as we head into the middle part of next week. Here is Monday. And then look at your Tuesday high temperatures just to finish it off. Pivoting off to the east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba. Again, you're going to watch this corridor as being the more frequent zone for the passage of showers and storms. It's going to be isolated in nature, so the heavier amounts will be local in nature. And then, some people perhaps missing out on some of the precipitation over the next 7 to 10 days. It's not a guarantee that you're going to get rainfall in this area as we talk about isolated to scattered thunderstorms passing through the region. But certainly the best chance is going to be in that region. Perhaps a little bit drier overall as you head towards the south, closer to the United States border. The high temperatures then for the next 5 days. Here's a look at your Friday high temperatures. We'll finish then with Saturday. warming up in advance of that next storm system. Sunday, cooler on the backside. Monday and Tuesday. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and I'll be right back with your next Tuesday or your next Canada regional outlook on Tuesday morning. Have a great day and have a wonderful weekend.